what's up guys, and today I'm going to be talking about a series that is huge. You've probably already seen millions of reviews, you've probably even read it or watched it yourself, but recently I just caught up to a series, not just physically, but I will say I also caught up to it digitally, so I'm going to be reading it week to week. And that is one of the biggest shonens to be created in the recent era of Shonen Jump, My Hero Academia. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about my opinions on the plot, the art, the characters, and all of that jazz, so stick with me as I'm about to start the video right now. Well, to start off, I'm going to be talking about the plot of My Hero Academia. Now, I think the plot is overall pretty decent, but as of recent arcs, it has been through the roof with the expectations for myself, with the chapter after chapter being so good and not really faltering with the plot. I think the plot has been one of the main focal points that I really do enjoy as of late in My Hero Academia, and I think that's something I didn't actually expect going into it, because I think the first 11 volumes are pretty darn good, I'll admit it. I think the plot in them are really interesting, and I like how they go about it, and I like how the League of Villains was kind of brought up, and how they kind of developed in those 11 volumes, but from volume 12 all the way to around 23-ish, which is the provisional license arc, all the way till like Class 1A, Class 1B is finished, and you get into My Villain Academia, is when I really think it falters a bit. I think the plot isn't as good, and I don't think it's as overall enjoyable as the rest. Now, I know what you guys might be saying, the overhaul arc is within that, and in the manga it is enjoyable, but I don't like how that arc ended, as I feel there's a lot of plot armor on the side of Deku. I feel like Overhaul could have used his quirk better, but that's for a different video, and I will say that I think the plot did falter inside that era of My Hero Academia. But once we got into the darker side of My Hero Academia, the plot really picked up, and the developments of its cast within the plot was really intriguing, and I think that the League of Villains and how much more you get to see the League of Villains at that point makes it the plot way more interesting, as we actually are building upon their antagonists better. And I think it really does fix a lot of the problems that My Hero Academia did have through that little bit of a stint, where the most major antagonist was Overhaul, and he wasn't that great of an antagonist overall, which kind of rhymed there, but back on topic, I think that having a more main antagonist really helped, as a professional license didn't really have a main antagonist. Class 1A, Class 1B. Class 1B is kind of an antagonist, Gentle Criminal. He was just terrible, and Overhaul was pretty meh at best as an antagonist. So seeing that as the plot progresses, I think it makes it way better and way better. But I will say, I will give the plot like a 7.5 to 8. I think recently it's been like a 9.5. But because of that like 10 to 11 volume stint, I definitely do have to put it down a bit. So I'm not going to say it's a perfect 10 out of 10, or even a 9 for the matter of that, because I think it's way too much in there that I think isn't that great in terms of plot to make it that big. But I'm going to be going on to my next points, and I think I talked about plot quite enough. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the art. Now, Kohi Horikoshi really progressed with that in his own art style, making his own art really feel like it's his, and really made it amazing. As of late, I think the art for My Hero Academia is probably the best art in all of Jump, and I don't even mean just weekly, I mean some of the best art in just Shueisha series in general. Of course, I've yet to read everything. Like, there's a couple series I think might have better art, but I haven't read it, like JoJo's Part 8. Haven't read it, so I can't really give my kind of opinions and thoughts on that matter, but I will say, out of everything I've read, My Hero Academia trumps all of them. And as a Black Clover stan, that hurts, because I think the Black Clover art's amazing, but I think Kohi Horikoshi's art really fits well with the series, and I think it really is just an amazing kind of style of art. Now, I'm going to move over a bit to show off panels if I haven't already been doing that, because I think I haven't, but I might have. Editing Jake, do whatever you want, but there's just going to be quite a few panels just going to be back and forth here, just showing off the amazing art and the amazing development that Kohi Horikoshi has made over time throughout his, I think, 6 or 7 year stint in the Jump magazine, which, my god, this guy has gotten so much better with this pen, not only in the writing aspect of his pen, but his art has gotten so good. You know, like those memes of like people like writing and fires coming out of their pen? That's exactly what Kohi Horikoshi's been doing as of late. And I think that can't just be undermined. I think he just has been doing super well, and I think that people that say his art isn't good, because I haven't seen many people say that, but I have seen a couple. Of course, it's subjective, but in my opinion, this art is just amazing and some of the best art I've seen in a while. And hopefully he keeps it up, and hopefully his health stays pretty good, because this art's amazing and I want to see more of it. And I hope Kohiro Koshi has the best in his future, because this art definitely takes a lot out of him. And I don't know if he's going to make a series after My Hero Academia, as is I think one of the top 25 series ever to serialize and Jump sales-wise. So I don't know if he really has to. But if he ever does, it would be really interesting to see how it goes, as he's going to be starting off with this really interesting art style. Not only that, he's going to be starting off with such huge expectations of My Hero. So I really don't know how that's going to go, but that's it for the art. I think that's all I have to say for the art. Now on to my next point. Now, where the one point I think this series falters, the characters. They do have a lot of amazing characters, don't get me wrong. I love Endeavor, I love Mirio, I love Bakugo. I don't love Deku until more recent chapters, and I like Todoroki, I like Kaminari, I like Kirishima. But they have too big of a cast that they don't develop, that I think that has a lot of potential, but they haven't really used it yet. Now, I think Kohiro Koshi does have plans, because he has stated that he has a moment for Sero. I think it was Sero. In an interview, he said that in the future he has plans for side characters to do stuff such as Sero and Ochako. But I think that it's kind of obvious that Ochaku's going to do something. Sero, not really, but I'm going to say this. I think that these characters are way underdeveloped. And I know it's very difficult to develop a cast that he has created of 20 students, but as I said earlier, I'm a Black Clover simp, and I think Black Clover did it perfectly. Now, I'm not just trying to be, oh, Black Clover's better than My Hero automatically, but I think Black Clover is better than My Hero, but that's just my opinion. Everyone has different opinions. That's my opinion, but I will say I think they developed their cast better, as they give them way more time to develop each and every character, while My Hero really tries to develop their main cast of Todoroki, Endeavor, Bakugo, Deku, Uraraka, somewhat Ida, and basically that's it. And they also do develop Mirio and Eri, but like everything else within that doesn't really get much development, and if they do, it's not too much to the point of being like, oh, that character is so sick because of his development, he's so well developed. Like, a lot of these characters really just aren't used to their fullest potential, which is one main gripe I have with My Hero Academia, is these characters just don't get used as much as they definitely should be. Like, Monoma, I think, has one of the most busted quirks, but I don't ever see him doing much, and everything he ever does is against Class 1A, but I want to see him in action against real villains, but I never have seen that, really. I've seen him in the Force Training arc just a little bit, but we didn't see Monoma fighting. So I don't think that we can actually really take that into account, and there's a lot of other things I want to see happen, but I don't. And these characters just aren't getting used in the ways that I wish I could see them. But that's just my opinion. Everyone has opinions. I know a lot of people love the characters of My Hero Academia, but I just hope that they get developed more and start getting used in the ways that they probably should be. And I think that, yes, I like these slice of life chapters every once in a while, and it helps develop the cast and get them to grow closer to each other. I want them to do other stuff within the story other than those slice of life chapters. I want these characters to actually do something rather than just be there for the fun of it and these random, oh, who's the best room chapters, you know what I mean? But that's all I have to say about those characters. I will say that's my major gripe. Oh, by the way, I forgot to rate the art. The art is 10. I'm going to rate the art 10. I thought that was obvious with how much I praised it. Characters, I'm going to give like a 5. I think I'm going to give the characters a 5 because there's a lot of characters I really love. Like I said, Mirio and Endeavor are my favorite two characters, very much close to each other. As of more recently, Endeavor has been developed so well, and I really like seeing how his character has been changing throughout this kind of course. But I will say a lot of these characters also don't get any development at all, or a very minor development such as Sero. But that's all I have to say for characters, and on to my next point. So, now since I didn't mention this in the characters, I decided to make this its own point on its own, and that's antagonists. So, there's a lot of underused antagonists, but the ones that are used well, I think are really amazing, such as the League of Villains, as the My Villain Academia arc makes them get developed so well, and I think that they really do build upon the League of Villains super well. I think that Twice, Toga, Dabi, Mr. Compress, and also Shigaraki just make such an interesting core antagonistic group. Now, yes, you might have noticed I didn't include Spinner in that, because Spinner does nothing throughout the whole series. In the War Arc, in My Villain Academia, all I see Spinner do is complain. So that's why I'm not talking about Spinner. He's underused, and he's basically not used at all, because he's just not interesting to me. But to get off that point, I want to be talking about the characters that I don't like within the antagonistic kind of spectrum of the series. And I'm going to start with Overhaul. I think Overhaul had one of the most insanely busted quirks. I think he was a very interesting kind of concept to bring to My Hero Academia, as he kind of had Josuke's stand as his quirk, which is just busted in general, being able to repair or destroy anything he touches. But this thing, his quirk was so strong, and in the end, Deku just beat him and just destroyed the future. Like, I have to have a huge spoiler warning for that. I forgot about that. I should definitely have a spoiler warning on that. I definitely will have one. But I will say, I don't think he's used well enough. And I think that he had so much more potential. And seeing what he has been in the most recent chapters of how you see him in prison is just so undermining of his character. I feel like he was so cool, and now seeing him now, I kind of just lost respect for his character in general, which I think that's what he was meant to be. I think you were supposed to lose respect for his character as of recently, but I don't know. I really just don't like Overhaul overall. And I said it again, overall. I don't know why I keep saying it, but I just don't like him overall as the antagonist of that arc. And I will say, I think All For One is also underused in his major arc. I think that he was definitely interesting, but as he stole so many quirks, not really doing anything with a bunch of them and just making a huge fist, wasn't that really interesting to me. I think he was just underused in that aspect, but I definitely do think that as time went on with the League of Villains, they got way less underused and way more overused, and by overused, that's not even a bad thing, because all of them had very interesting backstories, very interesting stories in general, and character arcs that I really did enjoy. And I think one of them that I loved the most was Twice. I think Twice's character arc was so beautiful, and seeing how it developed through My Villain Academia into the War Arc really hit. I think that was one of my favorite moments, is just Twice's character arc. I think that's one of my favorite kind of stints in My Hero Academia, and I also think that the same thing with Shigaraki. I think his character arc was amazing as well. But I think that's all I have to say about My Hero Academia's antagonist. I don't know if I have any other points, but if I do, on to the next point. If I don't, on to the outro, because I really don't know. So, this is actually the outro. I don't think I need any more points in this video. I think I basically talked about most of the things I wanted to talk about in My Hero Academia. Overall, I think it's a really good manga. I think I would give it like a high 8 or low 9 right now. But of course, that stint in the middle does take it away from being in my top 10 manga, because I don't think rereading it's going to be that enjoyable, because I read 10 volumes in a day just to get past the stuff I didn't enjoy, which definitely took a lot out of me. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that again, but overall, I think My Hero Academia is really enjoyable, and I definitely do highly recommend it. And I definitely think that if you don't like it off the first couple volumes, you probably won't like it in the future. I will say that. So if you don't like the first like 4 or 5 volumes, just drop it. That's my advice. But of course, other people might tell you otherwise. So that's all I have to say for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope we see you guys next time. Peace!